It started with a missing package. I'd ordered a set of vintage military medals, replicas of the ones my late grandfather earned in World War II, as a tribute for my home office. USPS tracking said, "Delivered, front porch, at 1:27 p.m. on a Thursday." I got home by 2 p.m. No package. Odd but not impossible. So I contacted the seller and filed a missing package report. A few days later, I ordered something else, a replacement USB hard drive. Same story. Delivered. Gone. That's when I knew something was up, and I had a hunch who might be involved. I live in a modest house in a gated community run by a notoriously overzealous HOA. The self-appointed president, we'll call her Karen, because of course, is the kind of woman who wears a visor labeled Community Watch, walks around with a clipboard, and has filed noise complaints over dogs barking during daylight. She's also the only one on our street with a Ring camera pointed at everyone else's front doors. But hers? Covered by bushes. Karen has always had an issue with me. Said my grass was too wild, even though I was cultivating native wildflowers. Threatened me with a fine for having a flagpole. Once, she called in a violation because my truck tires were too muddy. I use it for weekend volunteer rescue work. But mail theft, that was a new level. After the third missing package, a set of tactical flashlights, I decided to act. First, I filed a formal complaint with the United States Postal Inspection Service, USPS. Most people don't realize this, but mail theft is a federal crime, and the USPS takes it very seriously, especially in residential cases that start to form a pattern. I also told them about my suspicion. A particular neighbor with a history of, shall we say, stepping outside her lane. They took me seriously. Within a week, I was visited by Inspector Delgado, a sharp-suited, no-nonsense federal postal inspector. He was courteous but focused, asked good questions, and confirmed several other reports of missing packages had come from homes within a 4-house radius, all adjacent to Karen's corner property. Delgado smiled and said, "We've got a plan." The trap was surprisingly simple. USPS placed a bait package on my porch. It looked like a regular Amazon box but was fitted with a GPS tracker, RFID tag, and a tiny microcamera that would activate if the seal was broken. We left it there on a Tuesday morning. At exactly 10:13 a.m., while I was at work and my Ring doorbell was recording, a figure stepped up to my porch, baseball cap, sunglasses, hoodie. She reached down, took the package, and slipped it under her coat. She walked off like she owned the neighborhood. What she didn't realize was that Inspector Delgado and a second plainclothes agent were parked one street over, watching the GPS signal in real time as it moved directly into Karen's garage. They didn't move right away. They waited and watched. Within the hour, Delgado got a ping. The RFID tag had been removed. The bait package was opened. That's when they knocked on her door. Karen answered all smiles, then stammered when they identified themselves as federal postal inspectors. When they asked about the package, she denied everything. Said maybe someone else in the neighborhood took it. Claimed she didn't even notice a box. Then they showed her the footage. From my camera. From the bait package's camera. From their own surveillance. Her face went white. They asked if they could inspect her garage. She refused. So Delgado radioed in a request and returned 2 hours later with a search warrant signed by a federal judge. Inside her garage, 7 unopened packages, all addressed to different neighbors, and 3 that had clearly been opened and resealed, including my original box of medals. Karen was arrested on the spot, charged with multiple counts of federal mail theft, obstruction, and tampering with federal property. She was cuffed on her own front lawn as half the neighborhood watched from driveways and behind curtains. One neighbor actually clapped. The HOA tried to stay quiet about it, but they eventually removed her from her self-appointed role and issued a neighborhood-wide apology. I've since had several people thank me for bringing the thefts to light and for not letting her intimidate anyone else. Karen's facing up to 5 years in federal prison per count. The prosecutors are pushing for no plea deal, given her abusive position and the amount of stolen mail. As for me, I got my medals back. They sit proudly on my office shelf, right next to a photo of Inspector Delgado shaking my hand. And yes, the bait box camera caught it all.